Chelsea's first pre-season game is just over a week away, and with many new signings coming into the door as well as players returning from injury, there are a lot of players that will have to show their worth. I'm Mono from Mono CFC, and these are 5 players with a point to prove at Chelsea Football Club. Number 1, Mykhailo Mudryk. The left wing spot is arguably our weakest area in the team, and with rumours of Chelsea stepping up their interest in a right-footed, left-sided winger swirling around, one man in particular will be looking over his shoulder wondering if his place in the team is in jeopardy. Yes, of course, I'm talking about our young Ukrainian Misha Mudryk, who, despite having a much better season last season than the one previous, still hasn't really produced what we've been looking to get out of him on that left-hand side. The ex-Shakhtar man managed to score 7 goals and bag 2 assists in 41 appearances in all competitions for Chelsea last season, which is a mightily disappointing return. I think we all expected a little more from him in his second season, and his starting place might be up for grabs under our new coach if he doesn't improve. Enzo Fernandez loves to utilise wingers that are able to play close to the touchline, be good in 1v1 scenarios, and produce goal contributions. If we take a look at Mudryk's stats in comparison to all other wingers in the Premier League last season, apart from his decent dribbling stats, it's incredibly poor all around, and not really what Enzo will be looking for. Now admittedly, this is based on a rather limited number of minutes. He only played around 1500 all season, so take these stats with a pinch of salt. Personally, I think that when he started getting regular minutes towards the latter stages of the season, he was on the rise, but we need to see that improvement continue into pre-season, and then into the 2024-25 season as well. He's taken a lot of flack from people online, pundits, ex-players, and in the media, and I think this season could be when he finally starts to prove them all wrong, and in my opinion, it has to be. Time is slowly running out for him, and we cannot go a third season in a row with mediocre wingers on that side. He needs to start living up to the hype that he had when he first signed. With all the new signings and the new coach coming in, a lot of the attention has gone elsewhere, and I think the 23-year-old will have a massive point to prove as we move into his third season at Chelsea Football Club. Number 2, Enzo Fernandez. Another player that's been vastly disrespected over the course of last season was midfield maestro Enzo Fernandez. Despite playing through injury for 8 months and being completely tactically misused, some people have been doubting the young Argentinian, even going as far as suggesting that Chelsea are a better team without him in the side. Frankly, I think that's utterly ridiculous, and I bet the man himself feels the same way. He was one of our best players in that awful 2022-23 season, and playing in a similar role under Enzo Maresca as he did during that campaign could be the spark that ignites a return to form for him. As of the time of recording, so far in the Copa America he has put on clinic after clinic in that midfield, acting as a deep-lying playmaker and completely controlling games, as well as popping up with a goal contribution as well. He's set to face Colombia in the final, and by the time this video is released, he may have already won that trophy from that position. If we take a look at his stats in comparison to all midfielders in the Premier League, we can see the vast difference between how he played in a deeper role in 2022-23 and how he played last season more advanced. The difference is night and day, with his move further up the pitch impacting not only his ability to get on the ball more and attempt progressive passes, but severely hampering his ability to complete those passes. Another thing to note is how much better he was at being a playmaker in that deeper role, not only having more assists per 90, but also shot creating actions, as well as being able to contribute defensively as well. And that's despite the fact that we were a much better offensive side this season just gone than we were previously. After an entire season of playing second fiddle to Conor Gallagher, I'm sure Fernandez will have a bit of a chip on his shoulder, and under the new coach will be looking to cement his place in the starting 11 as one of our core players. Number 3, Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall. The first new signing to make this list, another player that I believe has a big part to play this season is brand new central midfielder Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall. The ex-Leicester City man is reuniting with the coach that he helped to win the championship last season, and because of that connection I theorise that he will be one of the mainstays of this Chelsea team in the season upcoming. Not only is he familiar with the coach, but his tactics and methods too, and being the most experienced player in that regard means that he will need to step up to the plate and be one of the leaders in the team. Despite this, when he was first announced to be signing to the Pride of London, a lot of people, especially on social media, were sceptical at best and downright dismissive at worst. Many questions were raised when he did put pen to paper. Why are we signing another midfielder? Why are we buying a championship player? How does he even improve our team? Etc, etc. And whilst I think some of those questions are valid, it's incredibly harsh on a young talent to discredit how good of a player he is and how well he's been playing lately. Last season he managed to score 12 goals and assist 14 in 44 matches in the Championship, whilst also getting another assist against Chelsea in the FA Cup. That's 27 goals and assists in 49 games in all competitions, which is far better than any of our midfielders excluding Cole Palmer, and just one look at his stats shows just how fantastic his season was. In comparison to every other midfielder in the league, he was in the high 80s to high 90s in terms of percentiles in most of the stats you want from a box-to-box midfielder. Non-penalty goals and assists, shot-creating actions, progressive carries and passes. The only poor stat here is that his pass completion is rather average at 77.9% per 90, but that's mainly due to him taking risks with his passes the majority of the time, always looking to create and rarely choosing to take the safe route. Personally, I think that's a good quality to have. Cole Palmer, for example, also falls close to that with a pass completion percentage of only 79.2%. KDH has the perfect chance to silence the critics this season, as he's likely going to be starting most games. He's the only left-sided centre mid we have at the club, and thus I'd expect him to be in almost every matchday squad. He's stepping up in competition, but into a team with a lot more quality than Leicester City had, so I suppose we'll have to wait and see if he settles in well, and whether he can perform with that large weight of expectancy on his shoulders. Number 4, Nicolas Jackson. You guys probably knew this was coming considering how highly I rate the lad, but Nicolas Jackson is certainly a player with a point to prove this season. He's been ridiculed all season long, called a flop, there's been calls for him to be replaced with another striker, and in all honesty, I have no clue why. The Senegalese is coming off of a very successful season in my eyes. The 22-year-old striker was not only playing in his first full senior season at striker, but also his first season in the toughest league in the world. Last season he produced 17 goals and 6 assists in all competitions despite this. And that's no easy feat, just ask Didier Drogba, who only managed to get 16 goals in his first season at the club in all comps. Jackson got the 8th highest goal tally in the league, with more goals in the league than Havertz, Alvarez, Richarlison, Nunez and Højlund to name a few, all whilst costing less than all of those names bar Alvarez, and without padding this stat with penalties. I said this in my winners and losers video, but Jackson is arguably the most disrespected player in the league, and I'd imagine he'd want to shut everyone up. He's looking set to be our starting striker once again this season upcoming, as our spending has been put towards other areas of the team, and the one striker we did buy in Mykhailo looks likely to be Nico's understudy, with Nkunku also being able to fill in at striker when required. Jackson's second season could be a very successful one if he's used how we expect Enzo Fernandez to utilise him. Jamie Vardy managed to bag 18 goals in the league under his tenure, and that's when he's far out of his prime. I reckon Nico could be getting around 20 plus goals this season, as he's the exact type of striker that could thrive in Enzo's system. A player that's very good at dropping into midfield when needed, but can also run in behind, and is great when 1v1 against his opponent. Personally, I'm excited to see how he plays now that he's got the confidence of a full season behind him, so hopefully he can continue his good form for us and lead the line with added motivation to prove a point, and show the league what he's really capable of. And number 5, Reece James. This might be a surprise entry on this list, but the final player that I believe really needs to prove a point in the 2024-25 season is current club captain Reece James. James is obviously a fantastic player, arguably the best right back in the league when he's able to play. But that's the main issue. His availability is becoming a major problem, not just due to injury, but also more recently due to disciplinary faults as well. I think our number 24 has to prove himself in many areas this season. Can he go a full season without missing a large chunk due to injury? Can he lead this team as club captain without the guidance of someone like Thiago Silva? Can he stay level-headed and be mature enough to not get himself suspended multiple times a season? And most importantly, can he do all of these things without it affecting his performances on the pitch? He needs to be able to answer those questions, prove that he can do all that, not just to us, but to himself. After having setback after setback, it must be so debilitating to not be able to get out there on that pitch, and surely it has to have some effect on him personally. Luckily, he has had the long-awaited surgery we were all asking for, and he's been recovering well and looks in really good shape, so we can pray that the worst of his injury woes are behind him and he can get back to being that reliable rock at the back, whilst also chipping in at the other end of the pitch too. And that leads me on to the matter of his position. Now, we still don't know how Enzo Maresca is going to use James. We'll find out when our first preseason game rolls around, but if he plays in a similar role to Ricardo Pereira like I've been theorising, then that's another question mark. We know James can play in the centre, but does he have the aptitude to invert centrally from right back without sacrificing his defensive qualities, and or can he still be the elite creator we know he is from that role? There's a lot of uncertainty surrounding the Cobham graduate, and he's going to have a lot of doubters to prove wrong this season. Personally, I believe he has the quality and the character to do this, so let's hope we can end the silly debates over who is the best right back in the league with a successful season. I suppose we'll have to just wait and see whether any of these players can prove themselves or not, but if you can't wait until then, YouTube reckons you'll enjoy one of these 2 videos on screen in the meantime. Thank you guys so much for watching as ever, and remember, in the rain or in the dry, keep that blue flag flying high. Come on, you Blues!